Harper is an author and content marketing consultant from Pittsburgh. He helps brands find and define a voice that resonates with audiences and cuts through the static of competitive markets. Drawing upon his diverse professional background in journalism, publishing, and video games, he has developed uniquely engaging campaigns for a variety of businesses and industries, from financial services professionals to best-selling health authors. Marshall graduated from Cal U in 2009 with a BA in creative writing. Since then, he has published over 12 books, founded a content marketing agency, built a publishing house, and helped to launch a video game development studio. His work has taken him across the country and led him to collaborate with clients ranging from UFC champions to international corporations. Starting his career as an undergraduate, Marshall freelanced for a video game studio out of Montreal, writing character dialogue for their new Nintendo DS game. From there, he started writing about mixed martial arts, quickly taking a participatory bent to his work. In addition to interviews and library research, Marshall stepped into the cage with professional fighters to write about what it felt like to fight a top-tier athlete. In other words, he got beat up a lot. While still a student, Marshall took on the mantle of editor-in-chief for a popular fight website and used an exchange program to spend a semester in Hilo, Hawaii, so that he could train with UFC champion BJ Penn. That experience inspired his first travel memoir, The Cauliflower Chronicles. Marshall's work as a content creator broadened into an eclectic mix of producing content and also helping business owners use content to connect with customers in meaningful ways. Fast forward to today, Marshall continues to search for innovative new approaches to making engaging, entertaining content. At the same time, he regularly visits high schools in southwestern Pennsylvania to talk to students about careers in writing. Oh, can I have Marshall T. Harper?
So this is terrifying, but I'm glad you guys are having me. I appreciate it. I've done quite a few of these now, and it's always really weird. At the same time, I'm always really surprised that I keep getting handed microphones. So you guys are kind of in for a ride, so strap in. That intro said a lot about me already, but let's just make sure we hit all the important notes so you guys understand the perspective I'm about to share with you. So my name's Marshall. I've never had a real job. So by real, I mean what we traditionally think of as a career. I've never punched a clock. I've never had a salary. I've never had a traditional boss in the sense that a lot of us are grown up thinking of what a career is going to be. So where I'm at now, so I run a content marketing agency. We help our clients find and connect with customers in engaging ways. I run a publishing house. We make rich media instructionals for fighters. I also co-founded a video game company, which we use to make video games for brands. So the brand needs to connect with their audience in a new, engaging way. We make them a game to do that. How I got here is a pretty strange and twisted story. Lived in Hilo, Hawaii. I was in Las Vegas. Eventually, I circled back to settle in Pittsburgh. I did 12 books. I worked with professional athletes, worked with international companies. I've had moments where I counted change in my cup holder for gas money. And I've also had moments where I didn't think life could get any better than it was. So it's been a pretty fun ride, and a lot of it started here at Cal U. This talk is ultimately about the importance of networking, and I promise that we're going to get there. I feel like we need to cover a bit more material so that you can understand where I'm coming from and understand the message that I want to share with you. So just bear with me. Like I told you, it's going to be a bit of a ride. I'm calling this keynote DIY Till I Die, Networking in the Post-Punk World. That'll make sense, I promise. I know it's weird. The term post-punk and the phrase DIY till I die are both taken from a rapper that's become a good friend of mine. I've admired for a long time. His name is MC Lars. If you guys been doing the networking thing with me, we probably talked about him. MC Lars is a nerdcore rapper. I don't expect anybody to know what that is. That's okay. It's a pretty niche genre of hip-hop. He raps about things like Edgar Allan Poe, T.S. Eliot, Jack Kerouac. Surprisingly, there's a big audience for this. He's really freaking amazing, and I've looked up to him for a long time because he started with a small indie record label, and he eventually broke off, founded his own company. Now he tours the world with just his laptop. He's built a total audience for himself, he's built a career for himself, built a platform for himself using that DIY work ethic. So when big record label said, who was interested in literary hip hop, Lars said, I'll prove it to you, and he did it himself. He's given a TED Talk, he's raised tens of thousands of dollars on Kickstarter, he's sold out shows. He collaborates with bands like Bowling for Soup, artists like KRS-One. He's worked with Weird Al. He's collaborated with Adam Goldberg. If you've seen the show The Goldbergs on Fox, I think it is. It's a pretty popular network television show now. MC Lars has collaborated with him. So he's done a lot. And the idea of being post-punk, this DIY work ethic, has been a lot of the reason why he's been able to do that. So circle back to me really quick. As a kid, I really wanted to rage against everything. I was pretty angry. I got bullied a lot, and the people around me weren't really much help. Teachers, parents, that kind of thing. The system that was supposed to protect me as a kid didn't. I got pretty upset about that. So I skipped a lot of school. I didn't go to a lot of classes. I didn't really do any homework. I just kind of hung out with my books and my video games because that's where everything felt safe for me, and that's the world that made sense to me. So at that time, punk rock made sense. So I realized that not everybody here is going to be a punk rock fan, and that's fine. But I think there's a little bit of punk rock in all of us. I think at any point in your life, if you've been frustrated by the rules not treating you fairly or the system not treating you fairly, I think that frustration is very much punk rock. And I think for a lot of people, that's motivating and inspiring to kind of fight back against that and make a difference in the world because you think it can be better. I discovered MC Lars at about that time in my life, and he was also pretty early in his career at this time. So it's I kind of grew up as his career grew up. So his work ethic, his approach to his career, no major record label wants to release your music, do it yourself. No publicist wants to help you grow your audience, do it yourself. No one thinks that you have a shot in hell of having the career you want, do it yourself. And this is something that's very much inspired me and driven a lot of what I've done in my life. So to me, though, this is distinctly punk rock. You skip the broken parts of the system and go directly to the people that matter, the audience, your customers. You find a way to connect with the people that are going to get you to where you want to be. It's the long and hard way around. It's not easy, but it's very much doable if you have the right work ethic. So Lars, though, is post-punk, so after punk, versus just being punk rock, just being very angry. So to me, this means setting aside that raw anger, that raw rage of rebelling for the sake of rebelling. Post-punk is more introverted. It's driven by creativity. So I'm encouraging all of you to be post-punk in your own way here in this little keynote. You leave the beaten path and you use ingenuity and grit to deliver a message and connect with the people that matter, to the people that can actually get you to the life that you want. That means building a community. That means using the tools in this crazy internet world that we have. You have access to people everywhere. You have access to all kinds of tools and resources and communities that we didn't have before. You can use that to really create your own market, to create the world that you want to live in. That's a pretty powerful thing. If you have the grit and the drive to do that. And if you're creative enough to find those opportunities and explore them. There's so much untapped potential out there, and having the motivation to go after it, that's very much a post-punk mindset. So it might sound weird for me to advocate do it yourself at a networking event where you're supposed to meet people and connect with people and make relationships, but I promise you this makes sense. Because as much as your fierce independence of believing in yourself and believing that you can reach your goals, that you can build the kind of career that you want, that you can get to where you want to go, believing that's very important, but you won't get to where you want to go totally alone. Your career won't exist in a vacuum. You won't exist in isolation. You need other people that are also fiercely independent, that are also fiercely driven to get to the place that you want to go. You have to meet those people and make relationships with those people. For me, circling back, graduated Cal U in 2009. I'm pretty sure we talked about that a lot today already. Still pretty punk rock at that time, still pretty frustrated. I got my diploma and stepped into probably one of the worst economies our country's seen in decades. Nobody was hiring anybody, let alone a creative writing major. Not the most job appealing major out of the box. So that forced me to keep freelancing. I was freelancing as an undergrad, and I just kept doing that. And then someday I turned around and, hey, freelancing was my job. Making things for people was my job. And I'm very thankful I've gotten there. But at the time I was pretty angry. But there was a transition point, a transition period where I went from being angry to really embracing this idea of controlling my own destiny and being a creator and making the career that I want for myself. If I want to make a publishing house, I make it. If I want to make a video game company, I make it. Because I learned the skills I needed to make that happen. So even though the job market didn't hand me a career, I was able to build my own. As I switch pages here, so this is what I mean by DIY till I die. So no matter what kind of obstacles there are in your way, you can find a way to do it yourself to get to where you want to be. The only person that will ever make your dreams a reality is you. You have to build it. You have to make it happen. So you can meet all the great people in the world, but you have to create the opportunities and follow through with them. When someone tells you you'll never succeed with that, which is something I heard a lot as a creative writing major, oh great, you're studying creative writing. What are you going to do when you graduate was the next immediate question. Whenever somebody tells you that you won't succeed, the punk rock response is, watch me succeed. Probably with a few expletives thrown in there because that's very much a punk rock thing to do. The post-punk response is, watch me build something you can't even imagine. Because tomorrow is very much an unknown place and there's so many opportunities out there. Our world as we know it is built on the backs of post-punk philosophy, in my opinion. Anyone brave enough to say, just because we've always done it this way doesn't mean it's the right way, that's post-punk. So the founders of our nation were post-punk. Martin Luther King Jr. was post-punk. Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Seth Godin. These are all people that looked at the system and said, this doesn't have to be the system. We can make this different. We can make this better. That list just goes on and on of brave people that took that path. The future can really be anything you want it to be, and I realize that's a really generic, inspirational speaker thing to do, but it's the truth. And there's plenty of examples to prove that. DJ Sean, good help me out. I'm cutting out. That doesn't mean doing it alone, though. Even though I've taken a lot of personal risk and I've done a lot of stuff on my own, I feel like I've built my own career. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. That's what I really encourage you to do. So at Cal, Dr. Shute and Professor Natali, they both retired. They helped me be a professional writer. They encouraged me to be a professional writer. Glenn Cordoza connected me with my first publisher. My business partners with my video game company, Nick and Anthony Vaccaro, they believe in the vision I've put together for the company and that we can build something great together. My wife keeps me from destroying myself with my own work ethic and addiction to building things. So she's very much a huge part of what I've been able to do. The life that you want, the career that you want, is only going to be possible because of the people that will help you along the way. So you need to build these relationships. It's absolutely critical to your growth as a person, as a professional. I found that to be true in my own life and also in the lives of the people I really admire. So make sure that you're building connections and you're networking. So networking, though, is not about getting a high score. Social media has us looking at follower counts and likes and regrams and retweets as a measure of the power, quote unquote, of your social network. That's bogus. If you want 40,000 Twitter followers tomorrow, I can hire an agency in China to do that for you. It'll be totally meaningless. They'll never buy or support what you do. That number is not a measure of your social capital. I don't care how many connections you have on LinkedIn if you never talk to them. I don't care how many followers you have on Twitter if they won't buy or support what you do. I don't care how many business cards you collected if you're just going to stuff them into a drawer and never look at it again. You have to be an active part of your ecosystem. You have to be an active member of your community. You have to bring value. So for networking to move you forward, you have to work. You have to be the person that actually brings change, that actually offers to help, that sends referrals, that means that contributes to worthwhile discussions, that shares interesting content. You have to be an active participant in the world that you want to change and in the world that you want to make a difference in. If you don't put anything in the relationships you have, you can't expect anything to come back out of it, especially when you need it the most. So an effective networking, in my mind, here's where it all comes back together. Hopefully this works out as well as I planned. Effective networking, in my mind, is playing a small role, even if it's super teeny tiny, in someone else's post-punk vision. Be valuable, be interesting, help someone else achieve their dreams. Go meet people, help them build whatever they're working on in any way you can. When it comes time for you to ask for the help on the thing that you're building, you'll have an army of people that are more than happy to lend a hand, because you've injected that good into the world and the good into the people around you. That's how you network in a post-punk world. You be valuable, you contribute. That's super important. And if you keep rocking your own beat until the rest of the world falls in love with what you're doing, you'll have done it the right way. So I appreciate you guys having me, and good luck on your career paths.